Core strengthening and stabilization exercises are critical to preventing injury and getting ready for every single workout. And if you've ever worked out with me before, you know every workout starts the same way. So today I'm going to take you through a series of core activation exercises, all of which are going to happen on the floor on your mat that you can do before any workout. And if you're currently experiencing lower back pain or hip discomfort, this is a great place to start to strengthen everything that's going on here and help get you out of pain. Check it out. The very first thing you're going to do is lie down on your back with your knees bent and your feet just about as wide as your hips. You want your feet to be maybe a foot away from your butt. Start by taking a big exhale through the mouth and pressing your lower back into the floor. Send those ribs towards your hip bones and think of engaging the entire front of the abdomen. Now squeeze your glutes and then press your feet into the ground as you lift your hips up, only coming as high as you can to keep them in line with your knees and your shoulders. You see I'm in a long straight line here, still keeping the core on, and then lower the hips down, touching the lower back to the floor and bringing the hips back up. This entire time I'm keeping tension in the belly, and I want to do this for 10 to 15 reps. So here you can see what it looks like when everything is tight. Now if I were to let this go, I'm going to move my hands so you can see the lower back comes off the floor and my hips are really leading this. I'm getting those hips up higher than the knees. I'm coming into more of an arc than a straight line. And that might be how you do a bridge in yoga, but for these purposes, you want to be keeping everything tight. So lower back into the floor, squeeze the abdomen, squeeze the glutes, engage your pelvic floor, press the feet into the floor, and then lift those hips up and down. You see the difference? This is a nice, tight movement. Now this tension we have in the glute bridge, again, you're gonna do it for 10 to 15 reps, you wanna bring to the other exercises. And if this glute bridge is too easy for you over time, what you can do is you can elevate your heels like I'm doing here and have those heels pressing into the box as you bring your hips up and down, making sure that you actually have your heels on the box and not the arches of the feet. Next, we have the single leg glute bridge. Everything stays the same. The lower back goes into the ground, the core is on, squeeze both of the glutes, glutes being the butt cheeks, and then walk the one foot, your right foot here, into the midline of your body. And then you're gonna lift your left leg up and think of tracking the knees in line with each other. And then you'll press through that one grounded foot to lift both hips at the same time, keeping the tension in the belly and trying to keep those hips level with each other. Now this is way harder than the both feet down variation. Start for 5 to 10 reps per leg. You might find 5 is very hard. And as you practice these, as time goes on, you're going to learn they never get easier. You can just do them better. So say that was really difficult. What you can do is figure 4 one leg over the other, and then do the same thing. And this actually provides a small little hip stretch to the knee that is bent and crossed over the working leg. But again, make sure that you keep that core engaged, glutes on, and press the lower back into the floor with each rep. So again, 5 to 10 on each leg. Of course, if you want to make this more challenging as time goes on, you can put your feet on a box and do these single leg glute bridges with one foot on the box at a time. Again, pressing the heel into the box and not the arch of the foot. Now I want you to bring both feet down again, plant them just as wide as your hips, and then come up into a glute bridge. But instead of moving those hips, you're going to keep the hips in place, press your hands into the ground for support, and take tiny little steps, marching one foot at a time. The feet can come pretty close to each other here because you are balancing, but you want to avoid any rocking of the hips, and you want to keep checking yourself that your core is tight and the belly is on. You will do 10 little steps on each leg. Now, if you're doing this kind of wonky, you're going to see those hips dropping, they're going to be moving. We want to squeeze the butt as hard as possible, press the hands into the ground for support, and only lift that foot a tiny bit. And you should really feel one side working at a time. Now we are going to repeat that 2 or 3 more times in total. So just for reference, you're going to do 10 to 15 glute bridges with both feet on the floor. 5 to 10 single leg glute bridges with one foot on the floor, and you do these on each side, 5 to 10 on each side. And then we're going to do 10 glute marches on each leg, hips up, core on, in tiny little steps. That is your first set of exercises. Next, we're not going anywhere. You're going to bring those knees up at a 90-degree angle and flex your feet at a 90-degree angle. Flexed feet mean they're in the position they'd be if you were standing on the floor. When something is flexed, you can think of it as being bent. When it's extended, it's straight. These are extended legs. These are flexed legs. So our legs are flexed at 90 degrees. And then I want you to imagine that the knee and the ankle joint are in casts and they can't go anywhere. You can only move at the hip joint. So keeping that lower back on the floor, pulling your belly button into the spine, reaching the ribs towards the hip bones and squeezing that stomach for dear life, you're going to lower one leg at a time, moving at the hip joint. These are 90-90 heel taps, and you're going to do 10 on each leg. So when you lower one leg, you might notice your lower back kind of wants to come up. So you can avoid this by pulling the leg that's not moving into your chest a little more. It'll help encourage the lower back to stay on the floor. Through these exercises where your back is supposed to stay on the floor, if you let it arch and come up, it will cause lower back pain, and that is what we want to avoid. Once this starts to get easy, what you can do is go ahead and grab a lightweight dumbbell or kettlebell, it doesn't really matter. This one's 17 pounds, it's a good weight for me. And you're going to press the bell up overhead, holding it in both arms. And then you can do the same exercise with a little bit of weight. This weight offers a counterbalance and can actually make the exercise feel a lot more effective. So I'd recommend, after giving it a go with just body weight, to incorporate this weight, still 10 taps on each side. And it's going to really start to fire the lower belly. After you do those 90-90 heel taps, you're going to flip over onto all fours. And here we're basically keeping that same long flat back we had on our back, but we're going to be doing it on all fours. So my hands are underneath my shoulders. My pointer finger is pointing north, straight ahead of me, spreading all of my fingers. My knees are under my hips and my toes are tucked. From here, with a long flat back, looking just in front of you to keep your neck up and not hanging down, you're going to lift your knees just a tiny bit and pull your belly button into the spine, squeeze the abdomen and keep everything tight. This is a beast hold, and you will hold it for 15 to 45 seconds. As you get stronger, you want to extend this hold. So squeezing everything, pressing through your hands, the quads, the front of the thighs are going to be on fire, as is the belly. You want to make sure that you're not going to let your belly dump like this. We don't want to arch the lower back. And you also don't want to kind of start to come up into a down dog sort of shape and let your knees migrate up. You really only want those knees to be far enough off the floor for a tiny little thing to get underneath there. And relax. So you'll go back and forth between your 90-90 heel taps and the beast hold for 2 to 3 rounds. Once this gets easier, you can make it a little more difficult by incorporating a shoulder tap, where you resist the rotation of the body and you try to keep everything really tight. Similar to that glute marching, you're trying to only move your arms here, whereas with the glute marching, you were only trying to lift your feet. So that's a version you can move on to once you feel like the beast hold is too easy, but I promise it's gonna stay challenging for a while. So you can give these exercises a go. If you're experiencing lower back pain, if you want to activate your core before any workout, especially before a leg day, anything with hinging, deadlift swings, things like that, give this a shot. Let me know if you have any questions. And of course, if anything causes you pain, do not do it. You're not going to work through the pain and eventually not be in pain, right? We only want to do these exercises if you can do them pain-free. Good luck.